Good morning.
Hi everyone. Afternoon for most of the world.
We have not seen you guys in a while. It's been a minute. I hope everybody's having a really good summer.
Indeed. Happy summer. Jen and I are getting all set up. Like she said, it's been a minute. I think we did our last live the end of May because it's Alaskan summer, which means our sun doesn't set. And that means we just don't go to bed.
We just play.
We just play, right? Some people have snow days. We take the whole summer and call it one big Sunday. And so, yeah, so we're back on live. We're really excited to be here. We actually have a really cool announcement.
Stick around to the end because there's a big announcement at the end.
Yeah, so. Totally.
But today we are going to talk about how midwives interact with the role reversal. And we're not going to get into our personal beliefs on abortion because that actually doesn't matter. And we're going to talk about why. Yep. So the first thing I want to talk about is patient autonomy. All healthcare workers should respect patient autonomy. It is in most of the ethical guidelines for every board that's out there certifying midwives, physicians, every type of physician. And I actually want to take a second and literally read to you the ACNM's stance on patient autonomy. It says, we believe every person has the right to equitable, ethical, accessible, quality healthcare that promotes healing and health. Healthcare that respects human dignity, individuality, and diversity among groups. Complete and accurate information to make informed healthcare decisions. Self-determination and active participation in healthcare decisions. Involvement in a woman's designated family members to the extent desired in all healthcare experiences. And so, how does that sit with pregnancy termination? Because a lot of times people think, oh, midwives are there to do prenatal care and birth, but we're really not. We are primary care providers for women and those who identify as women from puberty through end of life. And a lot of what we do is childbirth centered, but midwife means with women. That means that we meet people where they are without judgment. And sometimes that means that we are taking care of people who are in scary or difficult pregnancies that they are considering not continuing. And the next point that I want to bring up is that your personal boundaries doesn't really affect another person's autonomy, right? Like, I can say, I don't attend twin deliveries where both babies are breech. I can say, to me, that doesn't feel safe. I don't want to do that. Yep. But that's not me telling a mom who has 2 breech babies that she can't go do that birth. It's just saying, I'm not going to go with you. So if you are someone who sits in a place where your moral compass says abortion is wrong, that means it's wrong for you. But that doesn't take away your obligation to help your patient find a provider that can provide them with the services that they are seeking. Because complete and accurate information to make informed healthcare decisions. You can't omit information because it doesn't align with your moral compass. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
You know, I always think at this point, I love everything you just said, because I always think at this point about what does the word mean? What is a midwife, right? We walk with women identifying, with anyone experiencing childbearing, just the entire experience of identifying as a woman. We walk with them. What does that mean? It means I do not get behind and push her to go any direction. It means I don't get in front and tell her based on my moral or philosophical ideas, objectives, or compass in my cosmology. I don't yank her towards that, right? We stand with them.
Right. And we trust them.
And we trust them, and we support their innate intelligence to direct autonomously their bodies. And this is why actually autonomous practice for midwives is so important. Oh
no,
So we'll talk here, yeah. Okay, just 1 second on that one. But so this is actually inherent to why autonomy in midwifery practice is so important. We're going to start the one on Facebook here again. Give us a second. Okay, just start it again. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure if we're actually having network issues or if we're getting a little shadow banned. I'm just kidding. I don't believe in that shit. So.
Okay, so we're back. So let's pick up. I hope all our friends come back because this is a hot topic. So let's pick up. So why is autonomy important? With midwives, we walk with women. We walk with birthing people. We walk with families. We don't get behind them and push. We don't get ahead of them and pull. Why? This is actually what I want to show the lateral here is why. This is why it's so important that midwives remain autonomous practitioners. Why? Because for them to be able to walk with autonomous, sovereign individuals in their choices, they need to be able to meet them right where they're at. Does that mean that Jen has to, just because she's a midwife, deliver twins that are breached?
Nope, I don't have to do anything I don't want to do.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. So what is really midwifery data?
Then it's my job to find somebody who will do the thing, or to send that woman off for her unassisted whatever with like a blessing, you know?
Yeah. And so walking with women, walking with birthing people, when we start to impose our philosophical, our moral compass on anything, whether it be points of conception, ideas of life, how to raise children, more natural birth is better, and we start yanking people towards that instead of honoring that maybe an epidural is best for a client, when we start to impact decision making, we have actually overstepped the boundary of ethics as care providers. And it's kind of funny because this happens a lot in the medical system, so it seems to be expected. But the good data of midwifery, why it works, why midwifery is safer for the populations who choose it, is because we do not. We walk with the person. We meet them where they're at. And like Jen said, if you can't be the provider for that care, then you are the provider for the education, the information, the resource access, the risk assessment, and the motivation to get them what they need. Why? Because we walk with them.
Right.
Right to hand them to the next person. And so again, what I believe about epidurals, cesareans, desired termination, necessary termination, a miscarriage that does not completely leave the body, what I believe about any of it is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Right? What my job is as a midwife is to meet that person where they're at and open the door of access. That is the true difference in the midwifery model. Is I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm not going to assert health on them. I'm not going to make sure they do it. I'm going to meet them where they're at, and I'm going to help them curate the desired experience. Because why? What is trauma? Is trauma an actual action, Jen, or are all actions pretty neutral?
Actions are neutral. Trauma is the psychological response, a lot of times, to feeling out of control.
So, what do we not want to do?
You don't want to strip people of control.
And what is autonomy? Making sure that we cannot be stripped of control, because you can have a beautifully untraumatic C-sections that are completely desired and consented. And you can actually have pretty awesome home births that traumatize the shit out of someone.
Right? Like when they weren't planning a home birth and their baby just comes
out. Yeah, exactly. And so patient autonomy is truly all about centering. And this is the conversation of this century when we look at maternal health data, when we look at the increase of maternity care deserts across our land right now, is what are we centering, according to whom? Is it evidence informed by the community that we're wanting to extrapolate this idea on, right? Because it's really intriguing how reducing gun access doesn't reduce gun violence. Like that logic doesn't hold up, and yet we'll use the same logic that if we reduce access to safe abortion, abortions will reduce.
Right, but there's actually zero studies that show that. You know what happens is that safe abortions go away and people start doing things that are dangerous.
Yep.
Because you're not removing the reason that they're seeking an abortion. You're just removing their ability to have a safe one.
Yeah.
Which for me, like, I'll just share a little, my personal stance on this. I grew up super religious, super conservative. And thankfully also with parents who, like, very much encouraged me to be a critical thinker and to, like, choose my own ways of thinking about things. And so I kind of grew up thinking like abortion was like not necessarily like a great moral choice. But when I realized that, like, that literally doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I would do if I had an unexpected or an undesired pregnancy. What matters is that someone is always going to choose to get an abortion, and it should be safe for them. Like, they shouldn't be punished because of that choice. And therefore, it has to be safe. It has to be okay. So that's kind of the place that I came to when I was like, oh yeah, we must always have safe and accessible abortions, because, like, it's going to happen no matter what. Like, I don't want somebody to be hurt or sick or dead because of that choice. So.
Well, and so the centering conversation is, are we centering the ideals and philosophy of, and the philosophical choices of one group, and then taking that and pushing it down onto everyone else? Are we doing that, and has it worked in the past? No. What is actually paramount to show a destructive paradigm? Number one thing they do when things don't go wrong, you double down.
Start forcing.
Oh, God.
Makes everything worse.
Oh, God. Right? Mandating anything regarding human rights access and care access, especially by subspecieing the female due to a uterus that somehow can be co-opted for control, and yet we cannot take organs from other living individuals to keep others alive. Yeah. These are true human rights infringements. And that's what we're coming to find out in the UN is actually, reporting on, which you can too. So check that out. Because it is a human rights infringement. Because outside of any philosophical concept or a construct that you use as your cosmology to guide how you live your life, how you feel about living your life, the centering conversation is, I don't center myself as a midwife to provide care. I'm aware of what I feel. Right. Like, I'm allowed to have my boundaries. Right. But the centering as a midwife is, I center them. I center them. What are community birth providers right now, especially in the face of a maternity care desert? We are first points of contact. In a lot of aspects, we're triage. Right? So we are triage and we are resource access, right? One of the biggest things we learned in the pandemic is how we had been using public schools as true triage stations for resource access, right? And like, now without hospitals, that that's us.
Those kids were getting their mental health care, their food security, and
safety
their
during the day,
all from schools. We took that away, and we saw how detrimental that was. And so, anyways, point being, we are a resource and an education source, and we need to hold that, like, that's important and valuable, and you as a maternal child healthcare provider, and you are that in any role. Yeah, you are that. Like, that's a sacred space to hold, and you should be honored that this life has allowed you to have that.
Well, and let's look at the integrity of that power with relationship that delivers such great odds in midwifery care. What is it really based in? Safety, based on trust. It is based on continuous energetic alignment, even if it's just because we spend an hour with them once a month until 28 weeks, and then more as time gets closer, right? They trust us. If your philosophy impedes your ability to provide resource access for women, you are not providing the trust. What happens to midwifery data if midwives can't be resource centers to provide that? It goes to shit.
Yeah, it does. Like, the safety outcomes drop dramatically.
They drop dramatically. And so, that's always what I like to pull up too. And let's take a little, Jen, you want to take a little walk down, like, history lane for a second? We have to remember that the whole concept of desired termination, the whole concept of ending pregnancy has been around as long as
time. Dude.
As long as time, as birth.
Go back to Genesis. There's,
It's been around forever. Now, it's intriguing that the moral and philosophical compass of one cosmology, right, of Christianity, can seem to permeate and cause all of us to even engage the argument of when life begins, when that is so culturally disrespectful to the fact that life begins in various different points based on different cultures. Now, what's been lost in America since the push of the medical movement since the mid-1800s? Cultural representation in maternity care?
Right.
So
we base everything on white Judeo-Christian beliefs in our philosophies. When we talk about viability and things like that, it's like viability outside the womb based on, like, mechanical assistance for life. Like, if I fall over right now and my heart stops, blah, blah, blah. Like, there are people in my life who have paperwork that can decide, like, if it's okay to, like, continue to try to keep me alive. Because I can't make decisions for myself, right? A fetus can't make decisions for themselves, or it should be someone, their mom, who gets to make that decision. And it doesn't have to be medically related. Like, literally, like, your proxy gets to make those choices when you can't make those choices for yourself and you can't survive on your own.
Based on cosmology. And I think that's that centering conversation is why that's going to stick around for this century, is going to be, according to who? According to who, right? And so, all of that said, we'd love to have your comments. We'd love to have your chat. This is never about alienating birth workers. This is about all of us understanding clearly our role in helping, if that's really what midwives are here. And we all love to help if we're midwives. We didn't become midwives because we don't like to. But really understanding what help starts to mean. What does it really look like to help in these situations, no matter your beliefs about any of it, right? And for community birth workers right now in 2022 in the United States of America, where we are facing maternity care deserts of almost 50% across our nation, right?
So that means that, like, a pregnant person does not have a healthcare provider within 100 miles of them.
Yeah. And so 3 hours plus driving for some people, right? We are their first stop. We are the closest to them. And why is our data great? Because we work with our communities. We work in our communities. We go to our community members, right? And so if we are not trustworthy to provide the resource, that information, the accurate information that is evidence informed, right, to help each member of our community autonomously make their choices, we are stripping not only good healthcare data, we're stripping the integrity, the autonomy, and the sovereignty of the individual's expression of what their cosmology is.
Right.
And that, we can't have one person's cosmology overrule everyone else's. Diversity is a huge indicator of health in every community and every ecosystem. It is part of how we can move resources. So when we center one cosmology, what we end up doing is we get a ton of what are considered outliers to the neurotypical, our outlier group starts to grow. Well, what does that mean out here? They are no longer centered for access to resources. They are falling on the fringe. That's where the most diversity will live in any system. So how do we center the ones that need resources instead of the ones that are already receiving the resources, right? We actually have to center them.
Yeah,
we have to say,
we go to them.
we go to them.
And like individual. Yeah.
And we do not take our cosmology with us, our belief, and when I say that word, I mean your belief system. Your belief about why you're here and what your purpose is. Anything.
Which can be your religion, your spirituality, your lack of religion, your moral compass, just whatever you're centering your...
Yes.
It gives you your direction. I do, before we go, because we only have about 10 minutes left, I wanted to give some examples and some direction in how midwives interact with pregnancy termination. And I have some examples because we do interact with termination from time to time.
Yep.
I have had a few clients who in early pregnancy desired termination for social reasons, so not medical reasons. And I was able to give them phone numbers so that they could make those appointments and take care of those things on their own. Now, if you are somebody who you feel like that would violate your spiritual path, remember, your boundaries do not affect another person's autonomy. Mm-hmm. You can tell them, you can be honest with them, be like, I hear where you're coming from. I want you to know that because of my belief system, I'm not able to help you down this path, but here's a phone number for someone who can. That's all the farther you have to go. Mm-hmm. That way you are staying true to yourself and your values and your belief system, but you're not leaving them high and dry. You're not abandoning somebody. There is a way for both needs to be met. Mm-hmm. Like the pharmacist whose religion won't allow them to prescribe or to hand over the birth control pills or something like that, which I think is crazy. You shouldn't go into a job where you can't do the whole job. Yeah. But that's then their responsibility to find someone who can do the thing that they can't do to stay true with their own faith. Yeah. So there's that. And then I want to share a story about a medically indicated, So I had a patient who, at their anatomy scan, discovered that their baby had a non-compatible with life brain abnormality.
So we're talking about 20 weeks, halfway
Yeah, she
through
was
a
18 weeks.
desired pregnancy.
Yeah, 18 weeks. So, and where we're at, Planned Parenthood does outpatient terminations up through the 13th week. And then after that, things need to be done in the hospital for safety of everyone involved, and that makes good sense. Our largest hospital here is a Catholic hospital, so they will not do terminations. Again, their boundaries, and that's fine because there's other options here. And so we went through the process to like super verify, like this is really the thing that we're seeing, that like definitely this is a non-compatible with life problem, like this wasn't like somebody misreading the ultrasound. So we went and had a way more in-depth ultrasound. And this sounds, I don't know how else to say this, fortunately for this family, that baby's heart had stopped beating between the two ultrasounds, and so they didn't have to make like the choice of like the day their baby died, like it was natural, but they had made the decision and prepared, and I had made the phone calls to find providers who would take care of them, because that was a wanted, loved, desired baby. And so the role that I could play that didn't violate any of my boundaries was to do the hard work of calling doctors and being like, hey, I have this family who can't continue this pregnancy, and they need help. And was able to find a physician who was willing to assist, and thankfully, like, we didn't have to go down that road, but we were all willing to do that. And I was willing to be present with that family in the preoperative space at the hospital, because it's all pre-COVID, and in the recovery room, and I was able to get handprints and footprints of their baby for them so that they had something to take home. And that's not something that every midwife can do or would want to do. Yeah. But it's an example of how you can walk through that sacred dark space with these families, and help them. Because we all, as midwives and birth workers, will encounter non-compatible with life pregnancies. There is a lot, thank God, usually everything goes right, but there's a whole lot of weird stuff that can go wrong, and these are really hard decisions for the family, and they're really hard decisions to sit with as a midwife. Like, this has been years ago, and I still get it. And it's okay to have emotions through that, to feel the things that you feel while you're going through that, and to share those and express those with that family. Don't be a robot through all of that.
And I think that's what's intriguing, because what's the difference with midwifery care? There is that emotional line, and we have to respect ethics, and we want to just be really good care providers, but you're walking with them, and repeat clients, oh my gosh, right? Now you've been around for 3-6 years, all their these early, watching these babies grow up. I had an example where I had a client in the past that had a compatible with life, same thing, anatomy scan, discovered it, desired pregnancy. And I'm going to bring this example up because this client, after I referred her up, when we got an ultrasound that was like, yo, let's check this out, right? Yeah. And I sent her to my favorite MFM in town, and the MFM got a hold of me and was like, okay, yeah, this is not good. This is what happened. I contacted the client, right? She had counseled the client. She filled me in on what she counseled the client on. I contacted the client. The client did not want to see me again. And it was nothing personal, and her partner both reached out later. And I had to not take it personally. I'm being I need you to hear this right now. Of course, I was like, oh, but I want to help. Of course I do. How does this client, who was planning a really nice home birth, need her home birth midwife now that her baby is no longer alive or going to be given birth at home? What does she need from me?
She needs to go away.
She needs me to go away.
Remind her of everything she can't have right now. She needed me to go away.
And I understood that. It was great. Nothing was wrong. And again, I actually did get some nice reconciliation with them, because there was nothing wrong. But if I had centered my feelings, I would have been destroyed by it. But I centered her needs. It has nothing. I'm able to, here's Jess, put it to the side. If that's what she needs, then I will walk with her that way, even if I walk right over here. And I'm available. She knows how to find me.
Okay, so what is your job? Your job as a healthcare worker is to know your resources in your location, and if there aren't any, because unfortunately right now there are many locations where there are no resources. You need to know who in your area is helping get people where they need to be, and to be able to refer people to that. Like, that's your role right now. And to just hold the space to be with those people while they talk through their decisions, and to support them and educate them. And, you know, these are the options. This is where you can go. These are the people you can talk to. That's your job. And that job is more important now than ever, because there are a lot of people who are scared that even doing that much is going to get them in trouble.
Yeah. And so being safe is about really being able to center the needs of the people you choose to walk with when you call yourself a midwife, right? And we all get to see what that looks like, right? I'm like, 4 years into practice. I don't deliver breech or twins. Not enough experience yet. I'll keep going with her. I'll keep backing her. I'll keep getting experience until I feel like this is something that I can do. Now, will I ever have a conversation about that with any client desiring that? No, because if I impose my experience on them, I actually can affect their outcomes just by putting my own right on them, right? No, oh great, you were pregnant with twins? Fantastic. I know a great midwife for you, and I would love to back you up. And of course I can help with prenatal, anything you want, right? So I don't even have to center my needs. I can center them and get my boundaries still respected, and they get what they want. So autonomy's never lost. Okay, last
guys,
5 minutes.
Last
Any
5
questions?
minutes. Okay,
yeah.
questions?
Let's talk about it.
Comments?
Yeah, comments. Get it out, right? Jen is getting ready to go to a support rally, so that's good. I'm wearing contacts, so that's not happening.
Oh, I'm wearing contacts
I'll go to a
too.
support
It's
rally,
fine.
but I'll have to go get my glasses. Let me say that.
I'm all about getting tear gassed, you know.
Oh my God. So, last 5 minutes, let's chat about this, though. There are some big things happening at PBI.
Right.
We're so excited because of what's happened. When Jen and I talked about it, this is what we have to remember when we talk about centering. What can we do? We can protest, we can vote, we can do all of that, but what can we as women, centering women and healthcare providers do? We can cut our prices and get community birth workers on the streets as quick as possible.
Right, because we need people out there educating, helping.
We need it.
Also, one of the main factors, like, you know, we're not just rescuing babies out of the river. We want to go upstream and say why babies are being thrown in the river, kind of a thing.
Yup.
Women need jobs. They need money. They need economic stability.
Oh my God,
So,
yes.
For the next month,
20% off on all payment plans, 20% off on the one-time payment, and it's already figured in. Don't even need a coupon code. We just changed it. We didn't want people to have to work hard for it. We want everybody who wants to get into it to get into it.
Yep.
But I'll say this. What else are we launching starting in August, Jen?
we have a membership model.
Oh, a
20
membership.
$22 a month. You get once a month, like, online lectures with us. You're going to get PDFs. You're going to get content like our new stuff. When I write new stuff, you guys will be the first ones to see it. You guys will have access to our discount codes before anybody else, early bird specials.
Yep. And so I'll say this, for people who are like, okay, 20% off, the price is like good, but the membership's actually gonna be one of your cheapest ways. So for a year membership, it's $99,
and then you get 25% off.
And you get 25% off on top with a coupon.
Yeah.
On top of that $3,000. So
the
if
membership
you
pays for
are
itself.
interested, yeah, the membership will pay for itself. And that's awesome. So if you are interested in getting some awesome lectures with Jen and I and some guests, we're going to be doing it once a month, 60 minutes with a 30-minute Q&A with ourselves as midwives and then any of our guests. So this is going to be a great time to get those questions answered. Who benefits from this membership? All birth pros. Yeah. Doulas, any birth enthusiasts.
You don't have to want to be a birth assistant. It's literally just like, we'll have a topic and we're going to have either one of us or a guest speaker talk about it for an hour, and then you'll have time to ask questions. You'll get access to all of our printable...
We're going to be doing drops on our printable charts, okay? Yeah. For kick-ass birth assisting, our labor soap notes, our birth summaries, our newborn exams, our placenta, our SBAR transport form, which is... You're going to get access to all of our birth stuff, our dossier, right? Yeah. You're going to get access to new blogs and new drops that we'll have for video and audio.
Right.
So
like
anyway,
when we do a podcast, you know, we have links of that will all be in our membership
early
page.
Stuff for you guys. Yeah. And so it's an easy way, $22 a month if you want to do monthly, $99, and it gets you a year to get around midwives, get around other birth professionals. Also has an online community aspect. So you get into the online community, and instead of paying hundreds or even thousands, if that's out of your price range right now, hello, we get it. But we want our students engaged. We want everybody learning. We're super excited about actually who's going to be showing up with us for some of our guests too. So we'll have a schedule out. The first content drops. It opens in August. It is available right now for pre-sale though.
Yep.
So yeah, we shot a little video and put it up there. Questions? Anyone? Thanks for joining, guys. Patient autonomy is always such a big thing.
Are you guys?
Oh, one of our students has a present for us. Well, this is just the best day. Are we around? We are.
Yeah.
Can you tell where we are? Yeah. Office. So we'll be here for a little bit. Sarah, please do drop off a present. We'd love that.
I do love presents.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions, though? These are big topics.
And they're
Talk
hard.
about them. And they're hard, right? They are. They're big topics, and they're hard until you start to uncenter. Uncenter your own cosmology and center others, right? Then it gets kind of easy. And then you don't have to take it so personally. And I gotta tell you, taking things too personally as a care provider, what does that equal? Burnout?
Dude, burnout.
Jeez,
Heartbreak.
creepers. Oh my God, heartbreak. Yeah, right? Because if you get too involved in the autonomy of the decision making of clients and you start to impact it, not inform it so that they can impact it with changing their own choice, you can be a big part of the problem. Big time, right? And so the return of midwifery and the return to community birth has to start with sovereignty and autonomy being respected on all sides. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay, so membership model, so cool. We're very excited about it. Cheaper way to hang out with midwives.
I'm kind of excited to get back into doing the live things and seeing
We're
you guys
so
every
excited.
week. I actually kind of missed you guys a lot. I kind of thought maybe sleeping in on a Saturday would be... No, I missed you guys.
I know.
I'll get up every Saturday for you.
Yeah, we'll do Saturdays, and then probably come fall we might pick it up again. I know I have an interview with Augustine soon. We're going to talk about cosmology discussion, Augustine Colebrook, but she's in India and I'm in Alaska.
Oh, dude.
I can't even tell you what time. It'll probably be a 7 or 8 p.m. Alaska time, like 11 p.m. Central. We're not sure yet. Yeah,
like
we might
in
record.
India it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to have lots of fun with lots of different professionals around. So, okay, guys, do reach out, check out the website.
How can we change the combo from
Ooh, I love this.
to racism?
I want you to say more if you can, Aspar. From blackness to racism. I want to hear more. I want to center what you want to say.
Do you mean that when we talk about black maternal death is 3 times higher than white, but really what we should be saying is that ingrained systemic racism and internal bias in healthcare systems
results in the
death of black women.
Yeah.
That is how, and the innate bias in the systems actually increases the rate of neonatal black babies dying. It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
It is racism. It's racism. It's sometimes it's that ingrained subconscious racism. Sometimes it's blatant racism. But it's racism. Listen to women. Listen to them and believe them and treat them the exact way that you would treat anyone. Yeah.
I do
this
appreciate
gets me fired up.
It does. It is because it's about precision of language to actually tell the story. Thank you. I'm glad that was okay. Good.
Right, because when we say that
words matter,
black maternal mortality is 3 times higher than white, that feels like we're putting the blame on them, right?
Yeah.
Even though that's not
horrible.
The truth. That's not how it is. But it almost is when we say that, it's well, why are black women dying so much? What are they doing wrong? It's why is our healthcare system failing black women
at such a rate that it is statistically significant? And why? And the better question in 2022 is, we have that data. Why aren't all hospitals,
we know better,
all
we
legal
need
structures
to do better,
pivoting to center that data? And then I'll say though, racism talk in this is, why do we continually center data and not actually grab more data from all populations and center data that actually may not be of relevance to different cultural groups, just because we haven't funded the actual research to collect data on non-white, non-cis, non-hetero individuals.
Right, because there should be different standards of care. There should be different practices, maybe based in different groups. Maybe the standard of what is a good normal blood pressure, 120/80. Do you know who that's a good blood pressure for? A 30-year-old white man. Yeah. If my blood pressure is running 120/80, I am hypertensive. That is not normal for me.
Yeah, she's a bitch.
So
too much coffee.
Yeah. So we need better data. We need better numbers. We need better standards of care, and we need people to treat people like people.
Well, and I think this is a great question, Aspar. This is when we talk about from blackness to racism, this extrapolates into this conversation around what just happened with Roe as well. When you center the cosmology of certain Christian ideology and then you disseminate it as law, mandate, and you're now authoritative, this is what this means, that is racist.
Yeah.
That is anti-cultural.
Right.
It is, and it hurts people.
Right. And she says the same thing with class and abortion, and that's true, right? Because
Yes.
we're like, oh, poor people get abortions. Again, putting the blame on that poor people. Like, why are they poor? Like, what is the systemic things in society that are keeping people poor? Like the lack of education and the shitty schools and redlining and
funding wars instead of using our tax
the war
dollars
on
for
drugs
representation.
that just puts people in jail and breaks people's homes, and so I could live on this soapbox for eternity. Trust me, my kids, they're like, don't get mom started.
And it is, and it's about saying, okay, so if we want to really center results and we want to see healthier families, healthier babies, all of this, then is it about restricting access through mandate, or is it about increasing funding to options and increasing access?
Well, and go above that, like if I'm seeing a whole population that has shitty blood pressure, like, well, what's their nutrition? What's their access to food? What's their access to money to buy food? Like, you have to go up and up and up. You have to go big picture, because if you want a healthy population, you have to have education and nutrition and resources and stability. Because if I live in an unstable place where I'm always worried about where the next meal is coming from, my cortisol levels are through the roof, which increases my blood pressure, which hardens my arteries, which predisposes me to strokes and heart attacks and diabetes and all of these things. And no one is looking at the big picture of we have to make life feel safe, and everything trickles down to get better from there.
Exactly.
And we're just not doing that, and we just don't give a shit. This country just doesn't give a shit. Sorry.
We do, and we're part of it. So we're trying to make it.
The government that represents a minority of us doesn't give a shit. They want to keep the dumb people dumb and the poor people poor, and they want to just thumb on the masses, control everybody. And I don't know how to fix that. I just see the problem, and I know you're not supposed to complain about problems without solutions.
That's okay.
But that's what I got right now.
Because
voting didn't work. Right? Voting didn't work.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter now, but we should go. I was like, we were part of the 2016 push for Bernie, and so we got a whole sidetrack on that one. Anyway.
This video is going to get taken down. You guys, you were here live, because this is not going to be able to stay up.
We're not going to bring up our own personal opinions, but don't mind us while we fucking tangent.
Yeah.
Okay, we love you all, but you can expect to chat about all sorts of topics, and we will bring culturally relevant, evidence-informed education to the table, so we can all, as providers, not cause more harm.
Yeah.
If you are white-facing, the goal of this century is to listen and not cause more harm.
Right.
Uncenter the cultural miasmas that have led to the harm that we may have benefited from, and center those who need the resources now.
All right. We love you, ladies.
We love you, ladies
We will see
and
you
gentlemen.
again soon.
See you later.